Hello and welcome back to the channel, and this is a slightly different video, but it is to make things easier for some of you guys. If you want to watch any of my common room breakdowns, I've put them all into this video in one place. There is no new information than any of the other videos, so if you have watched them, you're not going to get any more information about the common rooms, but I just wanted to release a video that was slightly longer with all of the common rooms in one place, so that if you wanted to watch them together, you could watch them without having to skip between videos. If you've already watched a couple of my common room breakdowns, then I will leave the links to all of them down below, so you can just click on the ones that you haven't seen. As always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So the Ravenclaw scene opens up with a wide shot of part of the common room area, and we can see a large statue of Rowena Ravenclaw herself, and you can see the lost diadem of Ravenclaw on her head that Harry comes in to get an example of when searching for the Horcrux in the Deathly Hallows. And one thing that I love about seeing this common room is we finally get to see it in the right colours, and that is the bronze and blue that were originally written within the book. There is colours of this everywhere, as you can see it pan across the room here. In the books, the Ravenclaw common room is described as having tall arched ceilings with stars all across them, and you can see them portrayed perfectly here. Now, as we go through with these breakdowns, you will see that most of the common rooms have got things in that relate to that house. In the Ravenclaw common room, there is lots of books and musical instruments which signify the intelligence and the learning side of Ravenclaw that we know that the house possesses. In this first scene alone, you can see a harp and some sort of lute on the table here. As we move into this scene, we can see there is a fast travel possibility into the common room, as you can see some flame on the side here. This has been confirmed already. This is going to be the fast travel mechanism within the game. So as you can see, there is a flame in the common room that allows you to teleport directly here should you need to. Also, it looks like directly opposite this flame, there is a chest. We do see these in other common rooms. I think these chests are going to hold items that you can take with you on your adventures, such as the magical plants that we know you can use in battles, or even potentially some potions that we can use to heal ourselves. All of the walls in Ravenclaw seem to be dedicated to learning of some sort. There is books and all sorts of studying instruments around all of the walls. We then move into what I believe is going to be the main area of the common room. There is a fire glowing in the middle of the room inside this giant chimney apparatus, and then behind it you can see the giant eagle on the wall that we saw in one of the original trailers. These wide open windows will give fantastic views around Hogwarts. I was really hoping we were going to get a view out of them so that we could try to locate the common room from the outside of the castle from some of the other shots that we got of the castle in the earlier trailers, but unfortunately you cannot see a lot out of the windows in this trailer. Again, as we move into this next room, we can see more hints on the intelligence side of the Ravenclaw persona. There's books all over the walls, and there is even a telescope to allow students to do their astronomy homework during the night time. Even on this table here, it shows the creative side of a Ravenclaw. There appears to be different pots of coloured ink used for drawing. We can see that somebody has drawn a picture of Hogwarts, which looks incredible. There also appears to be a picture of the owlry in the top right hand side of this easel. This desk here, although different, reminds me of the desk that we see in the Room of Requirements with the owl perched on it. I think potentially this could be a desk that you can use the owl post system through the game. However, I think this is going to be the one that's located in your dormitory if you are a Ravenclaw, rather than having to go to the Room of Requirements to use it. To the right hand side of this desk, there is a little stand here which could easily be a perch for an owl. You can also see what appears to be some sort of wax mount stamps, which would make sense if you are sending letters. This area is actually located in the corner of the common room, although it looks like a different location. You can see the desk and the drawing easel over in this corner. You can also see the chair that this character is sat in. We now get our first look at the entrance to Ravenclaw common room, and it is very similarly described to what we see in the book. There's a giant eagle on the door with a knocker. This eagle in the books means that you normally have to provide an answer to a riddle. It'd be interesting to see if you have to do this to get into the room. However, as our character approaches, you can see that the silver knocker is glowing slightly, and then the glow disappears as the eagle starts to move and open up. So I think potentially it will just be interactable and you will be able to just click to open the doors. As you can see on this door, if the wings are spread, you would not be able to open it because it goes beyond the boundaries of the door. However, when you answer the riddle correctly, the wings fold in so the door can open. I absolutely love this animation. As the door opens, there is also a statue of a giant eagle behind it, along with some constellations on the ceiling. We then get a different angle of the original room that we saw with the harp and the statue of Rowena Ravenclaw. We can see our character coming up these stairs from the entrance to the Ravenclaw common room and turning into this main part of the common room area. From this shot we get a very good idea of the layout of the common room itself. You head from this entrance door past this giant eagle statue. You'll be able to go right or left, which will lead you up these staircases, up into this main area that leads through into the fireplace. As you enter into this main fireplace room, there are stairs that go upwards, which I believe leads to this room here. There is also stairs leading downwards, which I believe will go to the respective male and female dormitories. I am guessing that the stairs down to the right hand side might be the stairs that lead down to the girls' dormitory, as that seems to be the only staircase with suits of armour outside of it. We know that there is protections around the girls' dormitories to stop the boys from heading up to them, as we've seen in the Gryffindor common room. I think that perhaps this is going to be the staircase to the girls' dormitory, because if a boy tries to go down there, the suits of armour will block the path. I believe this area is going to be above the statue of Ravenclaw area. As you can see this chain coming down, I believe it is going to be holding on to this chandelier that we see here. There also appears to be a slight opening above this chandelier, however it is very hard to see from this angle. There seems to be a spiral staircase ahead of us leading up further. However, there does not seem to be much evidence of rooms higher up than this tower, because there seems to be nothing obscuring the window that we see above it. So it'll be interesting to see where this room goes. There's nothing obvious in this trailer to suggest exactly where that is. So now that we've actually had the walkthrough, I'm going to take a look at some of the interesting features that I've seen around the Ravenclaw common room. The first one is in this final shot here. We can see some words written on the ceiling, and the first word that we see clearly is the word Doctrina. Doctrina means some form of teaching, instruction or learning, which goes very well with the Ravenclaw mottos. The second word we can see is over to the left on the ceiling here, and it says Docens. Docens is a noun and it means associate professor. It is somebody that ranks higher than an assistant professor, but ranks lower than the actual professor themselves. The next word that we can see clearly is the word ratio. Now, ratio is the relationship between two groups or two amounts. It's often used in mathematics and science when comparing data. Now we can see half of a word here which starts off with the letters C-O-G-N-I-T. Now, my first word that I thought initially was cognitive, and this is to be involved in some sort of conscious intellectual activity, which again goes very well with Ravenclaw. I've tried searching for all of these words together, but there is no other explanation for this word, so I think it is going to be the word cognitive. Some other features of general gameplay that we see is that not all of the pictures move. Some of them seem to be quite static. Maybe if you approach them they will move then, but I can understand that they would not be able to make every single picture move in Hogwarts, but there is a few that we do see moving. In a literal frame and you'll miss it moment, there is a notice board that you can see to the right that has a Chudley Cannons poster on it. You can see the well-known orange colours that we know from Ron's room. There appears to be what looks like a keeper from the headwear, however it might just be headwear worn by some of the players. We see Ron wearing this in the films when he's playing Quidditch. There's also items that are interactable as we move through the game, as you can see with this small globe thing here. You can press square and use your wand on it. It looks like our character is storing his wand up his sleeve of his robe, because he seems to do some sort of twitch as the wand comes out, which looks like he is pulling it from the inside of his sleeve of his robe. As he uses his magic on it, the globe spins. I like to see just little elements like this that are interactable. It will be a shame if no Bertie Bott's every favorite Bleens fly out of them like they do in the old games. We get a clear shot of some of the pictures in this scene, and there appears to be somebody holding what I believe is a dragon's egg. Potentially somebody who is famous for figuring out something to do with dragons. And the next one is a moving photo that we do get to see. They appear to be somebody who is grooming a Niffler. And the final thing of note in all of these trailers is the fact that we get a look at these House Pride robes that have been announced today as well. And the Ravenclaw one looks fantastic. It is a blue robe with bronze highlights. You can see the bronze outline of a slightly darker blue eagle at the bottom of the robe, and the robe is a two-tone with a more bronzed element to the left-hand side of it. All of these robes look absolutely incredible, and I really want to be wandering around Hogwarts wearing them because they just look so good. So the first shot of this video opens up into the main area of the Slivering common room. The first one you can see on the left of the screen here is the notice board where the password is posted every 2 weeks. There is also a famous Slivering from the medieval times up on the tapestry to the left above the notice board. Slivering common room is known to be adorned with several tapestries of very well known and famous witches and wizards who were in Slivering from the medieval times. Unfortunately, with this first tapestry we can't really see the name that is at the top. However, with some of the other tapestries that we see later on, we might even be able to get some names of the characters that are in them. We can see directly opposite this giant fireplace with a fire crackling in it. This is very similar to the fireplace that we saw in the Chamber of Secrets film when Harry and Ron take the polyjuice potion. Already you can see lots of snakes and serpentine type decorations. This is obviously very common for anything Slivering. And up into the ceiling there is a glass window. Slivering common room is partially located underneath the Great Lake, so this gives a green glow to the whole of the common room. Just from this one scene alone, it looks absolutely incredible. As the camera pans around, we can see there is a door opposite. There is also a door to the left, which is quite hard to see here, but we do see it later on in the trailer. I do not know where this door opposite goes because we don't see any shots of it. However, we do see a clearer shot of this door to the left, which I believe leads to the entrance of the common room. On either side of this stairway there is tapestries of a witch and a wizard. This witch on the left has the name Emily next to her. She has what looks a bit like a wyvern from the Fantastic Beasts franchise above her head. However, there is no more information that we can gain from this tapestry. I'm hoping that with these famous witches and wizards, if you interact with people near them, they might tell you snippets of information about who these people were, and we will get some nice lore and backstory around some previously unknown characters. Zooming in to the wizard that we can see on the right hand side on this tapestry. Above him, he appears to have an ocarina flying above him. This is the creatures from the Fantastic Beasts franchise that lay the silver eggs. There appears to be the name Howard Salabek Augur. I've searched his name, but nothing comes up in any searches, so again, hopefully we will get some further background information about this character as the game progresses. We can see this staircase ahead of us, and at the top of this staircase is a statue of Salazar Slytherin himself. We get a better look at this as the trailer goes on. The next shot is just a closer look at the decoration of the fireplace. It really does look incredible. This snake directly above the fireplace and the two giant snakes interlinked on top of the mantelpiece. The one thing that gets me about the Slivering common room has always confused me is the fact that there are skulls everywhere. And I think it's just such a weird decoration to have. Even if you are not aware of like the Slivering background and how it is related to dark wizards, as soon as you walk into this common room and see the skulls and the snakes everywhere, it instantly gives such an ominous feel. It's just strange content for me to have a new first year coming in who would probably know a lot about the school because Slytherin are very picky about who they allow in, but seeing these items all around the common room would just confirm that Slytherin is just a slightly darker house than the rest of them. We then get a shot into this room, which seems to be the main studying area in the common room. This is located opposite the staircase that leads to the statue of Salazar Slytherin. We get a look at this entrance from another angle to show it more clearly as the trailer goes on. This room is just absolutely gorgeous with the giant open windows that open out into the lake. I was hoping to see some sort of Grindylow or creature fly past the window, but there doesn't appear to be anything in this trailer. If you look at the windows at the top as well, I love the design of them and the fact that they look like a snake's mouth closed. We then get one of my favourite shots from all of the 4 videos released about the common rooms, and this is outside of the common room itself in the Slivering Dungeon area. The entrance to Slivering Dungeon is described as a blank wall. Once you give it the password, the door appears, and the design that they have made this happen with is just incredible. You can see on the floor that there is a snake skin type effect, but just by the wall the floor looks slightly different. As our character approaches and gives the password to the common room, this snake body appears and the door just magically appears in the archway that the snake creates. Honestly, this design is probably one of the best things that the development team has ever done or ever shown us in any video, and I am just so excited for the game when this level of detail is going into making the common rooms alone look absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, the door does not open, so we cannot see exactly where this takes you inside the common room, but I do believe it is this corridor to the left of the main one. If you look at the lower section of the door, it has two snakes facing each other in the two S shapes, one facing forward and one facing backward, which I believe symbolises Salazar Slytherin. It is also worth noting that the pillars in this look slightly similar to the pillars that we saw in the Sebastian Sallow trailer. We get another look at this study room, and as we move through this room, there's actually a lot of really interesting details. As the character walks past this weird box, it looks like it contains maybe a baby mermaid or something similar. This creature definitely has a fish-like tail and human arms, and it looks to have a human torso and head as well. To the left hand side there is also the skeleton of some sort of ostrich-like creature. We have seen these dotted around Hogwarts in different locations. As our character walks past this table, there is a wizard's chess set, and if you look closely, there is actually a move being played. So the move that is actually being played on this chess set is actually a really nice little Easter egg and a funny moment. As you can see here, the Black Queen is moving into position to checkmate the White King. This is actually the fastest way to win a game of chess. It only takes 2 moves. It's called a fool's checkmate, and there is only one way of doing this. The next shot is back in the main common room area, as we can see the tapestry of Emily here, and you get a nice look at this doorway that I was talking about earlier in the trailer. As our character turns the corner, we can see a long corridor in front of them and just a single doorway at the end. I believe this single doorway is probably going to be the entrance to the common room itself. We then get an incredible look at this Slytherin statue and the staircase that leads up either side of it. I believe this is going to lead into the boys and girls dormitories. There appears to be a plaque above each door, which I would imagine would symbolise whether it is a boys or girls dormitory. Also, of noting, there is this weird plaque at the top of the left-hand side of the staircase, which has some sort of eagle symbolism. I don't understand why this would be located inside the Slivering common room, but it's just an interesting note that I found. The Slytherin statue in the middle of the staircase is framed in a giant archway. Behind it there appears to be some sort of carved rune drawings, however I cannot make them out in this trailer. Here's a stick with a snake on it, and he is also holding on to a skull. The way that the candles are placed around him make this look like some sort of shrine rather than just a statue. Now this is just pure speculation, however when looking at this archway behind the statue of Slytherin, it does just seem way too big and way too grand for the size of the statue, when he could have been made more prominent by moving him forward and out of the archway. It is possible that the archway behind him contains a secret passage. It may even be a secret passage that leads to the area that we saw in the Sebastian Sallow trailer. The camera then pans around to the left and we can see a doorway. Through the doorway appears to be a staircase that leads down to the left. I think potentially this staircase will lead down to the next scene. The next scene we see another witch, and we don't unfortunately get a name for her on her tapestry. Again, I'm hoping that we are going to see exactly who some of these people are throughout the game. There's also this nice pond-like feature to the right hand side, and the statue inside it looks very similar to a Zowu from the Fantastic Beasts franchise. And this final shot shows us the main common room area again, and right in the far distance you can see the entrance to the study area and how you get to it from the main common room. To the right hand side is a similar orb to what our character interacted with in the Ravenclaw area, so I'm thinking this is going to be interactable in this trailer too. To the left hand side above the fireplace there seems to be some animal heads that are mounted on the wall. It's very difficult to see what some of these are, however one of them does look like a stag, which I think is quite a funny symbolism. And finally, to the right hand side of this room, to the rear, we can see another witch tapestry. Again, from this distance, we cannot make out any details, unfortunately. The camera then pans up to the ceiling and we see a really nice stained glass window above, which leaks light down into the main common room area. The design that they've gone for with this Slivering common room is absolutely stunning. Myself personally have never had any affiliation with Slivering, and the common room was one of the places that we visited in the books and the movies, so I wasn't really massively excited to go and explore it in the game. However, seeing this footage now has made this one of my favourite common rooms, and I really cannot wait to explore the intricacies of it, because I'm sure there's going to be many secrets. And to finish off this breakdown, as we did in the last one, we will have a look at the Slivering Robes. As you can see, it's very similar to the design of the Ravenclaw ones. You get the effigy of the snake at the bottom outlined in silver. The right hand side of the robes are a dark green and the left hand side look to be a lighter silver. These robes are just absolutely glorious. So, the Hufflepuff Common Room is an unexplored location in both the books and the films, so it's a location I was really excited to go to. The first thing I noticed when doing this breakdown is the Common Room seems to be quite a lot smaller than what we've seen with the Slivering Common Rooms and the Ravenclaw Common Rooms that I've done the breakdowns for so far. It seems to be much more similar size to that we see of the Gryffindor Common Room in the movies and in the books. The Hufflepuff Common Room consists of only 2 rooms. This room that we see here with the fireplace and the room that we see here with the doors all around it. Now, although it's small, one thing does come to mind when you're looking at it, and that is the fact that this common room looks absolutely incredible. It seems to symbolise the Hufflepuff persona absolutely perfectly. The first thing I noticed instantly was how cosy everything looked and how close everything was. If you look at all of the students in this trailer compared to the students in the other trailers, they are all closer together. They are all more of a loyal group. In a lot of the other trailers, there was a couple of characters together talking, but the spacious areas of the Ravenclaw and Slivering trailers just meant that they were all spaced out. There didn't seem to be such a level of unity as we see in this trailer with the characters sat around in the areas of this common room. But anyway, the first shot of this trailer opens up with a wide shot of the main seating area of the common room. It has this large ornate fireplace to the left hand side. It has got golden artwork around the flames with depictions of the Hufflepuff badger. Above it we see Helga Hufflepuff herself, and she actually really impressively is holding the Hufflepuff cup that we know later comes to be one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. In the distance on the far right hand side you can see the notice board that we get in all of the common rooms. It has the same Chudley Cannons poster on it, and there's a couple more pieces of paper on this one. Unfortunately it's a bit too far away for me to make out. The thing that I noticed about a lot of the flowers hanging from the ceiling is they all seem to be in cauldrons, which I think is a really nice touch that just didn't need to be done. They could have been in hanging baskets, but it just gives it a real Hogwarts feel. There's a couple of strange things I noticed in this room that potentially could lead to secrets in the game. The first one was this bookcase right in the middle of the screen to the rear, and it just seems to be the perfect size and shape for a doorway. Now, I think I know exactly where this could lead to, and I think that it could lead straight into the kitchens where the house elves are at work, which would mean that the Hufflepuffs in this common room would have direct access to food at all times, which sounds absolutely incredible. I'm sure there's going to be some form of password or maybe secret code that you have to tap out on the books that would open this doorway, but I am very sure that this is not just a normal bookcase, it's actually a doorway into the kitchens. And the second thing I noticed as the scene changes is that this portrait to the opposite side of the room, directly opposite the bookcase, is a very prominent position, and in such a position that the character would be near enough at head height with this character in the picture. It is worth noting as well that the character is a moving picture, so it's not one of the static ones, so I think this is going to be a very prominent feature of the Hufflepuff common room, possibly even give you quests. He might even be in charge of the opening and closing the secret passageway directly in front of his eyelight. As you can see from this location, there is 2 stairs that go either side of the common room up into this balcony area. Unfortunately, we do not get a very clear shot as to exactly what is at top of the balcony, as we do see it later, but our character just walks up to the edge of it. Potentially it does go around to the right and left at the top, so potentially there are some doorways up there, but we cannot see it in this trailer. As we pan down, we see more and more of these students congregated together, studying and learning and talking. The scene then changes into this room, and I believe that this room is going to contain all of the dormitories. If we look at the other shot that we get of this room, you can see that the entrance doorway to the right hand side at the bottom of these steps is directly opposite this doorway to the left. That means that there is 3 sets of doorways either side of this central doorway. That would be perfect for the 7 years of Hogwarts. So I believe that each of these is the boys and girls dormitory respectively, one on top of each other for each of the years of Hogwarts. To the right hand side of this room there is the chest that we have had in all of the common rooms so far. I believe that this is going to be to store in items that we would take on quests with us, such as potions or plants that we can use during battles. And then to the right hand side here, in a single frame, you catch a glimpse of the Floo flame that can teleport us directly into this common room. In this shot here, we can actually see a student sat on top of that overarching balcony of the central doorway. I love the design of all of the doors in this common room. It gives a very Hobbit vibes, but I love the intricacies of it, that the fact that they have decided to make seating areas in between all of the doorways and use the actual frames of the doors to create those. Everything about this common room just screams comfort. And in similar tradition of the other trailers, we also get a look at the entrance to the Hufflepuff common room. Our character walks down this corridor, and one thing that caught my eye initially was this student walking along carrying a pile of books, and they have obviously bewitched one of the books to float in front of them so they can read it as they walk. We turn the corner, and if you look at the barrels on the wall, each of them have 3 of these really weird looking faces on them until you get to the final one, which is actually the entrance to the common room, and this only has 2 faces on it to distinguish it from the others. There's also these pillars with flames on top of them with the Hufflepuff badger, symbolising that this is the entrance to the common room. As our character approaches, these 2 faces slide apart, and so does the door. You can see that it leads directly into the fireplace room. Now, 2 more things that I noticed in this area, and the first one is this character here seems to be doing something with these barrels here. Now, I couldn't tell if this was a spell and some sort of magic happening, or my other thought was potentially this was a ghost coming through the wall to speak to this character. But there is definitely something happening here, and I would like to know exactly what it is, but unfortunately the camera pans off just at the right moment. And the other thing that I noticed in this scene is one of the reasons why I believe that the common room will lead directly into the kitchens, and that is because we actually get a glimpse of the entrance to the kitchens. The kitchens in Hogwarts is located behind a picture of a fruit bowl down near the Hufflepuff common room, and if you look to the left hand side of the screen here, you can actually see that fruit bowl. If you tickle the pear, it will turn into a door handle and you can open into the kitchens there. I knew that the kitchens were in close proximity to the Hufflepuff common rooms, but I did not realise exactly how close they were. As our character walks through the doors, they enter into the fireplace room as seen here, and we get a nice shot of the fat friar by the fire. He is the Hufflepuff ghost, so it makes sense for him to be in the common room. It's a nice addition to see him wandering around in this trailer. The camera pans all the way around and we get a slightly better look at this portrait here. Again, it just looks in a very strange position and has to be interactable. We get another look at the fat friar in this scene as our character walks down the stairs into the fireplace room. He is stood in front of this photo of a Quidditch player. Because the common room seems to be such a small area, we do get a lot of shots of the same locations. However, this final shot is actually a slightly new location, and this is the balcony above the fireplace room. You can see our character walking up the stairs and then looking down over the rest of the students in the common room area. As our character approaches the balcony, you can just see the natural light flooding into the room and just giving it such a welcoming feel. And as always, let's talk about the robes for the Hufflepuffs. I genuinely love these. The design of the badger looks absolutely incredible and is a lot clearer than we've seen in any of the other depictions of the Hogwarts crest itself. You can see the badger in all its glory and it just does look fantastic. The right hand side of the robes are obviously the yellow of Hufflepuff, and the left hand side seems to be a dark grey and silver type colour. The Hufflepuff common room, though small, is absolutely gorgeous, and I do love it completely. It is such a perfect example of what I would imagine the Hufflepuff common room to look like, and again it just shows the loyalty and the camaraderie of all the students in Hufflepuff House themselves, how much they have to intermingle and be with each other because of the size of the common room and the design of it. There's such an earthy feel to it with the plants and teapots everywhere. Everything feels so natural and so alive, and it is just absolutely gorgeous. The two little hidden features that I've pointed out really make me want to explore the game as a Hufflepuff to see if that picture or the possible bookcase doorway are features that we will be able to unlock as the game goes on. So, as I'm sure you're all aware, the Gryffindor common room is the most seen common room throughout the books and the movies. It is a stylized version of what we get in the films, and it does look fantastic. The only thing that I would say is it does look like it is by far the smallest common room area. Out of all of the common rooms, there only seems to be one main room which is slightly segregated into two different sections, and the staircase that leads up to the dormitories. When you first look at the Gryffindor common room, you can see the symbolism of Godric Gryffindor all over the place. It is a common room that is the most true to medieval castle designs. To the top of the walls, you can see the crenels here that were normally used at the top of battlements for archers to hide behind before firing arrows down. The stone walls covered in tapestries for warmth and the giant fireplace just make it look incredibly medieval. And you can imagine a king in here planning before a war. Godric Gryffindor was described more in that militarian way. He was known to like duels and of course carried the sword of Gryffindor around with him, so this room suits him to perfection. One more interesting thing of note is that this is the only common room that does not have some sort of depiction of the founder. Gryffindor is not portrayed in any picture or statue anywhere to be seen in this common room. Again, this could hint towards his medieval war values, and rather than having a depiction of himself, he would rather have his coat of arms on display. With this being the smallest common room, I have tried to find as many secrets as possible, and I have found quite a few, but I think this video will probably be slightly shorter than the rest of them. The first scene opens up with a lovely shot of the Gryffindor lion above the fireplace in the common room. There's also this Hogwarts banner, which I've not seen anywhere in the castle, and I do love the design of it. Gryffindor common room has got loads and loads of pictures around them of different witches and wizards. There is so many different details here, I cannot wait to get a look at all of them in more detail and see if they are hiding any secrets. As the camera pans down, we get a look at the top of the fireplace to the left and the true to canon circular opening to the portrait hole of the fat lady. We then pan across the rest of the common room and you can see the students sat in the comfy chairs around it. These large open windows will also have a great view of the castle grounds, very similar to Ravenclaw. The next shot is the opposite side of the common room, and we move through this archway here, which leads to the staircase that goes up to the dormitories. We then see a shot of this staircase and the stained glass window that is above it, and this stained glass window is absolutely beautiful. On the left hand pane there is a Gryffindor Quidditch player flying over the grounds of Hogwarts. In the right hand pane we see part of Hogwarts Castle. You can see some of the greenhouses, the courtyard that leads into the Great Hall, and then in the prime focus you can see Gryffindor Tower. In the middle we have the shield with the Gryffindor G, and written underneath that is the words Forte Animo Estote. Sorry for any Latin speakers if I've butchered that pronunciation. The translation of this translates perfectly to the motto that we know of Gryffindor, and that is be of good courage. We know that the main traits of Gryffindor is courage and bravery. To the left hand side of this staircase is this collection of trophies, again leading to the pride element of the Gryffindor persona. As in the rest of the trailers, we get a shot of the now very familiar entrance to the Gryffindor common room. We can see our character walking along this corridor with a sun billowing in from the windows to the left. There are several portraits to the right hand side. There's a man surrounded by books, a woman with a couple of house elves, and another witch or wizard with what appears to be a pet niffler. As our character approaches the fat lady, he obviously tells her the password. However, her reaction is very strange. She seems to look away from him rather than look at him, and she doesn't open her arms in a welcoming way. She just seems to close herself off. I'm wondering if this is potentially a story element. Maybe you have done something that the portraits in the castle are aware of and they do not like you at this time, but I just thought it was a very weird reaction for the fat lady to have when the portrait swings forward. It then reveals the circular entrance hole, and I think that this just looks incredible. We then get another angle of this main common room area. The portrait hole entrance is directly behind us, and we're looking at the tapestries next to the pathway to the staircase. If you look at the tapestries, there is lots of symbolisms of phoenix and trees. I'm guessing that most of these trees are going to be some sort of wandwood tree, but I've not been able to decipher which trees they are. Again, there is just more portraits all over the place and cabinets containing trophies. As the camera pans around, there's a deck of cards floating above this student here. I'm wondering if this is a pack of exploding snap cards or if he's just practicing some sort of magic. We then see the front-on view of the fireplace, and it just looks incredible. The sheer size of it is amazing, and the two lions flanking the actual fireplace opening is just absolutely beautiful. Our character then moves through into the other section of the common room. He then walks towards the same spinning ball that we have seen in all of the common rooms that is interactable and we can make spin. As you can see, our character approaches it. There is a white dot above it, which suggests that this is an interactable object. Now, in this trailer, there are actually two more interactable objects, and I will go through them now. One of them is the chest. As our character uses his spell on this spinning orb, because it is then no longer interactable, the interactable object then appears above the chest. This is the same chest that we see in all of the common rooms so far that will hold some of our belongings, potentially potions and creatures that we can use in battle. We do not see the flue flame in this common room, however, I'm suggesting it is probably on the opposite side of this room because they are normally located symmetrically around the common room with the chest. Now, there's one other item in this trailer that looks to be interactable, and that is in this scene here as we come through the portrait hole. It is only seen in 1 or 2 frames of this trailer, but if you look to the left of our character now, there appears to be a cage next to this suit of armor, and above it is the little circular symbol that our character can use to interact. Now, from this angle, I cannot see anything inside this cage. We do get a couple more angles from here and also from the top of this balcony area, but again, there does not appear to be anything inside the cage, so I'm really intrigued as to what will happen when you interact with it. I'm also very intrigued to know who is in this portrait. It is a very prominent location within the common room, so I'm wondering who exactly this is going to be and if they are going to feature in any quests or storylines. You do get a nice shot of 2 of these portraits moving. This one in particular looks around the common room, and this character up to the left hand side seems to have a coffin fit as our character walks towards him. We then get the clearest look yet at one of the notice boards in the common rooms. We can see the familiar Chudley Cannons poster. There is also this poster of a Quidditch player down to the bottom right hand side. Now, I've looked up this word Ilky and I cannot find any relation to Harry Potter. However, there is something very similar and I think it is possibly related. Ilkley Moor is a Quidditch stadium known in the wizarding world. Now, we do not know exactly who plays there, however I believe this is going to be the home ground of Puddlemere United. We know this team because Oliver Wood actually goes to play for their reserve team after he leaves Hogwarts. Now, the reason why I believe this is the home ground of there because we know that a game took place there between Puddlemere United and Holyhead Harpies, and also Puddlemere United used to wear brown robes before they changed them to blue. So as you can see, this character here appears to be wearing brown robes, so I think this is a Puddlemere United player before they changed their robes. Now, our character heads up the staircase, and when you get to the top of the staircase, there is 2 ways that you can go. You can turn right and go up a spiral staircase to the dormitories, which then splits off into boys and girls. You can see the shape of this staircase to the top left of the screen in this shot here. Or when you get to the top of the stairs, you can turn left, which is what our character does, and then comes out into this little seating area that looks down over the common room. You can see the banners for Gryffindor everywhere. This one here even has the fleur-de-lis symbol on it, which is a very common medieval symbol for military use. And to finish off this breakdown, as we have done with the previous videos, we will have a look at the Gryffindor robes. They look incredible. We have the dark red outline of the lion at the bottom of the robes, outlined in the gold of Gryffindor. To the right hand side there is the red side of the robes, and on the left hand side is the grey. I absolutely love the addition of these robes, and I think they are all absolutely beautiful. The way they have designed this common room is very, very familiar to what we've seen in the films, but they have given it their own edge and their own spin, and I absolutely love the design of it. I love the fact that they've got so much ground to work from, but they are able to put their own elements and their own ideas into play just to make everything look better. It's such a nice representation of the Gryffindor common room, and I would be really excited to explore it and see if there is any secrets to find within it. So there you have it. That was my accumulated videos of all the common room breakdowns for you. I really do hope you enjoy this format. I did it very similar to the state of play trailer that we got. I put all of my breakdowns together in one long video just so it's easier for you rather than having to go through different videos. Please leave a comment below, let me know if I've missed anything or what you thought of each of the common rooms, and let me know which one is your favourite. I do reply to everyone in the comments. Also, don't forget to come on over to the Discord. A link to that will also be in the description down below. But that was it for this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. But until then, mischief managed.